Then let us come to the biggest issue in the India-US economic relations, the H-1B visa issue. This is a very important topic. Twice UPSC has asked us questions about visa issues in the mains examination. And H-1B visa issue is the biggest issue between India and US. There is no issue that is really like ruining the India-US relation like the H-1B visa issue. So this is a major issue. Basically, in the United States, you have two temporary work visas for skilled professionals. And those visas are H-1B visa and L-1 visa. So these are temporary work visas, means these are not immigrant visas. These are non-immigrant visas. These are temporary work visas, like they are often given for a time period ranging from 3 to 6 years. An H-1B visa is an employment-based non-immigrant visa. So means your employer in the US will have to apply for that visa, and by using this visa, you can come to US and work for that particular employer. That is how the H-1B visa works. And this is given for in the case of specialty occupation. So if you have some special knowledge in some sector, then only you will be getting the H-1B visa. And there is something called L-1 visa. It is basically an intra-company transfer visa. Means if you are working for a company in your country, then if you want to transfer to the parental arm or the US branch of that company, then you can use the L-1 visa. See, that is the difference between H-1B visa and L-1 visa. L-1 visa is an intra-company transfer visa. Now, why US needs these sort of temporary work visas is due to a problem called STEM gap. So this is one problem, this is one area that we have to highlight when writing answers about the H-1B visa issue in the mains examination. So why US needs H-1B and L-1 visa? Because they have something called a STEM gap. Basically, every year United States needs around 1,20,000 STEM people, or science, technology, engineering, mathematics people. They need 1,20,000 STEM people every year. But the problem is that the US universities can only produce 1/3 of this number. So they need this workforce. So what can they do? They will be using the H-1B visas. See, that is the need of H-1B visas. And India is the largest user of these visas. Like around, according to last year's statistics, around 70% of the H-1B visa issues are going to Indian people, and around 30% of the L-1 visa is going to Indian people. So that is a huge factor. So India is explicitly dependent on the H-1B as well as L-1 visas. And now the issue is that now the Trump administration has come, and Trump's policy has always been hire American, buy American. So he is seriously thinking about reforming the H-1B visa issue. And there are, now that the president himself is thinking about reforming the H-1B visas, now there is a lot of congressional bills in the US Congress seeking reforms for the H-1B visa, and that is really concerning India. That will be really bad for India. Basically, many of the US lawmakers, they believe that the H-1B visa workers, they tends to replace the US workers. So many of the American workers lose their jobs due to the H-1B visa. That is what these lawmakers believe. But research scholars as well as Silicon Valley executives, they doesn't believe that claim. They say that only skilled professionals and high skilled laborers are brought to US by H-1B visa. So anyway, we will try to have a look at what are the various reforms proposed in the US Congress. As of now, none of these reforms are a reality. These are proposed reforms. These reforms have been introduced in the United States Congress. A main reform is called the H-1B and L-1 Visa Reform Act of 2017. And in this act, mainly one proposal is to eliminate the lottery system. So right now, like a lot of companies will be applying for the H-1B visas, and there is a lottery system for giving H-1B visas. And now the United States wants to change that by giving a priority to foreign students educated in the US in giving H-1B visas. So foreign students who are educated in US will be given a priority in issuing H-1B visa. That is what this legislation aims to bring out. Then another clause in this legislation is to have a 50/50 rule. Basically, this 50/50 rule, it refers to the clause that if a company has more than 50 workers and if more than 50% of those workers are H-1B or L-1 visa holders, then that company will be prohibited from hiring any more H-1B or L-1 visa workers. That is what this 50 by 50 rule means. If a company has more than 50 workers, and if more than 50% of those workers are using H-1B or L-1 visa, then that company will be banned from getting any more H-1B or L-1 visas. Then it strictly prohibits the replacement of American workers by H-1B or L-1 visa holders. And this will be cracking down on outsourcing companies. So this is going to be really, really bad for India. Basically what these outsourcing companies do is that they will temporarily hire H-1B and L-1 visa workers. And after 3 or 5 years, these H-1B or L-1 visa workers will go back to their own country. And from there they will do the same work for this parental company. See, that is how H-1B and L-1 visa sort of worked for outsourcing companies, and this kind of outsourcing companies will be cracked down by this new legislation. And the outsourcing industry has played a huge role on the economic development of India, so this is going to be really bad for India. Then another legislation that was introduced in the US Congress was called the High Skilled Integrity and Fairness Act of 2017. And in this act, basically it's about having a skill and wage based allocation of H-1B visas. Means companies who can offer more wage to the H-1B employees will be given more H-1B visas. And the minimum wage for H-1B employees will be increased to $130,000. Right now the H-1B minimum wage is only around $60,000. So this is a humongous increase, and this is going to be really bad again for the Indian IT industry. And even when the news of this proposed legislature came, the stocks of major Indian IT companies went down. So you can see what will be the impact if that legislature becomes a reality. And another provision in that legislature is to allocate 20% of the H-1B visas to startup companies which has less than 50 employees. But that is going to be a positive provision for India. Now another legislation is called the End of Outsourcing Act. Here federal contracts by the US governments will be only given to companies which hire American workers. So again, this is another provision, and there is a lot of such legislation regarding the H-1B visa issue. Like there are around half a dozen legislations. Like we have only mentioned 3 of the most important legislation in our material. You can read about other legislation in the newspapers also. Anyway, how this will affect India? What will be the impact of these H-1B visa reforms on India? Now India has a humongous IT outsourcing industry. Like globally, India control around 50% of the global outsourcing industry itself. So it is really benefiting India, and the IT outsourcing industry like contributes around 10% of the Indian GDP, and in 2015 they have generated around $150 billion in revenue. It employs around 3.7 million people, and the peculiarity in that employment itself is that around 3 million of this industry's workers basically service overseas clients. So you can see how much we are dependent on the overseas clients in the case of IT outsourcing. And another issue is Brexit. US and UK right now, they are both taking anti-immigrant policies, and US and UK, around 79% of India's technology exports are going to US and UK. And US has Trump and UK have Brexit. Like it is often said that US and UK are in a race to destroy their countries, and now UK is leading, but America has a trump card. So there is this issue. US and UK both are cracking down on outsourcing as well as immigration, and this is really going to impact Indian IT outsourcing industry also, because the lion's share of our technology exports are going to these countries. And again, in addition to that, the Indian outsourcing industry is creating 10 million jobs indirectly, and these jobs will be lost to around 38% of the global talent pool of this sector consists of engineering graduates from India. Now you can see what is going to happen. There is going to be a lot of unemployment in India, especially for the engineers. Then what can we do or what is going to be the future in the case of H-1B visas. So Indian tech CEOs said that there is not enough American workers to replace these H-1B people. So this is one point you can highlight in your answer paper itself. US has this STEM gap issue. There is not enough American workers to replace the H-1B visa holders. So the problem, what will happen is that the H-1B visa makes the US firms globally competitive. See, the best talent around the globe is coming to US. And due to that, India is often facing brain drain issue. See, our best people like Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, they are going to US. See, now the CEO of Google is an Indian, CEO of Microsoft is an Indian, CEO of Adobe is an Indian. So India is facing a lot of brain drain due to this H-1B visa issue also. So some people are saying that this is going to be a positive thing. And even Mukesh Ambani made a statement to that reference. He said that due to this, Trump might be positive for India due to his crackdown on the H-1B visa. The Indian IT industry, domestic IT industry might be boosted. So there is that positive angle also, but the problem is that this will be really destroying the IT outsourcing industry in the short term. Maybe in the long term that can be positive. Then another problem is that, and another issue is that these H-1B visas make the US firms globally competitive. If there is no H-1B visa, there is no H-1B visa issue, what will happen is that without the H-1B, US will not be getting the best talent in the globe, and US firms will be going down also. So there is that problem also. Then there is this myth regarding the H-1B visa issue that people who are hired on the H-1B visa gets less salary when compared to their American counterparts. But this is only a myth. Often specialized workers in the H-1B visa get as much as salary or even more salary than their respective American counterparts. So this is only a myth among the many of the US legislatures. This is not the reality. So that's all about the H-1B visa issue. This is going to be one of our most important topic for our this year mains examination. So just try to read that 3 legislation.